And we are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn free, civilly disobedient media broadcasting live on the worldwide Coalition Network at the Go Local Live. Scrap that. Jesus. No one's listening right now. Let me just let me talk and vamp a little bit. Are we naturally recording? Is it just recorder just keeps going? Hello. Hello, ball. So let's do a little bit of something here. So no one's watching us whatsoever. So lovely. Let's do a little promo. Typing in a few things. Let's see if it'll do a preview. Lovey. That heathen's on the radio again. So imagine. Ooh. Actually, let's not do it from there. Let's actually post it from here. Whew. What if anyone out there? Is there anyone out there? Is there anybody out there? If you're watching, we're just kind of getting things set up. So just bear with us if you don't mind. Folks, if you're just listening in, we're just getting started with today's entertainment. Folks, you're listening to the Coalition on the Worldwide Coalition Radio Network here at the Coalition Radio Network bunker, deep in the heart of Providence, the city we love. The city with, about 300,000 stories. We're going to tell a few today. If you just happen to stumble upon us at the Facebook site, it's facebook.com/The Coalition Radio. On the mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio. You can call in at 401-205-3738. And this is day 2, if you will, our dry run. Want to call in? Want to talk? Want to talk about, just about anything related to the crisis, the body politic, culture, restaurants that you miss. But there's a new act in town. A little bit of competition never hurt anyone. So we're going to be working on that for just a second. Hello, if anybody's listening. Just getting set up for the day. A highly professional operation, as you can tell. We're asking people to listen to us on coalitionradionetwork.com. Is there anybody out there who wants to dial in? 401-205-3738. If you've got issues you want to talk about, just give us a shout. What's happening in your state? What's happening in your city? If you're calling from Rhode Island, what's your reaction to Gina's latest mandates, closing beaches? Is it necessary? Is it an overreach? That's something we'd like to talk about. If you live in another state, how does it feel all of a sudden to be pitting state against state, citizenry against citizenry? Governor DeSantis down in Florida doesn't want to accept a cruise ship to land. A lot of Americans are on the ship. He's worried about Floridians. Is there a difference between Floridians and Americans? Is that the new normal? Here in Rhode Island, where we broadcast from, the governor amended her declaration from stopping and having a conversation with New Yorkers to anyone from out of state. Does an out-of-state plate really mean anything? Is that the new currency for civil liberties? What your license plate is? If this is how we're going to act at a time of crisis, is that where we're going as a nation? Should it, in fact, be 50 mini city-states, as some allege that it's already become, and this is just the embodiment of it? Give us a call. Let us know what you think at 401-205-3738. If you just kind of stumbled on this is the Coalition, outrage, porn-free, civilly disobedient media, talk radio. We've been on the air for 6 years doing a weekly 3-hour show. Now we're looking to expand the format a little bit, particularly in these times when so many people are at home and they're looking for another place to give their opinion, to do it in a judgment-free, non-condescending, detailed way. So what are your thoughts? Is, in fact, the new normal the ability of the police to stop you at will and ask if you're actually measuring up to what their quarantine measures are? Is that the new normal? Give us a call and let us know. Area code 401-205-3738. This is sort of a soft opening the last couple of days. We're experimenting with the technology. A lot of it is internet-based. We do have a bricks and mortar studio in the bunker, buried in the city streets of Providence, La Prov, the naked city as we like to call it. But you let us know what you're thinking. Are you still working? Are you on unemployment? Have you had any issues collecting your unemployment? Do you work out of state and live in Providence? Have you found that to be an issue? Has this put you in a financial jam? The timing of it, if you will. Have you recently started a business? These are the kind of things we'd like to discuss. We see a couple of people out there lurking. Come on, give us a call. Let us know what you're thinking. Area code 401-205-3738. We will be, as is our normal programming, having guests on a week. Friday night, we'll go from 6 to 9. 3 45-minute to 1-hour segments with thought leaders calling in from think tanks, political action committees, local leaders. We call it the Coalition because we talk to everybody, libertarians, Democrats, Republicans, independents, grassroots activists. Is there programming that you're missing that you feel that needs to be covered? Are there issues out there that you're simply not seeing discussed in the manner that you'd like? Give us a call at 401-205-3738. Judgment-free talk radio, non-condescending talk radio. Listen, there's a lot of great programs on here. WPRO does a fabulous job. But there's also no coverage at night. We will be having a lot of night programming, both talk radio-based as well as content. A lot of folks who spend time in the political confines, if you will, of talk radio aren't really interested in sports chat. I mean, a lot of us are sports fans. Nothing wrong with it. It's just not where we like to invest our energies, particularly in a time of national crisis. Outrage porn free. Civilly disobedient media. We have a smart ass from another part of the country attempting to dial in. Just want you to think of this as my senior project. Folks are coming on the line. On the second day of our soft opening of the Coalition truly talk radio environment. In this hour to 2 hour segment, we won't really have any guests per se. We'll have people call in and have a conversation. So bear with us as we set up. If you're not a libertarian, why aren't you? Just kidding. What is your reaction, if you will, to President Trump's leadership during this entire crisis? Do you define it? Do you, as an act of politics? Is everything surrounding this crisis in and of itself a political act? And if so, how do we separate what your political interpretation is versus the efficacy, the actual behavior, the actual action? Is there anybody there that, if you will, yes, Tom Brady did leave town. You can tell here at the Coalition we're heartbroken. A new era begins in Foxborough. That's for the 6 to 9 guys, not us here. We want to know if President Trump had interfered, would Tom Brady still be a player here in New England? And exactly how many people would we care? Interesting comment, though. One would have thought in New England, particularly in the Boston area, there would have been a collective nervous breakdown at the time that Tom Brady left. Is it a function of the crisis that sort of subsumed, seemed inappropriate, kept people from focusing on TB12 leaving town? Or is it just a kind of a cynical yawn that, in the words of Jerry Seinfeld, we are rooting for laundry? That the minute he became a Buccaneer, yikes, Tampa Bay's a nice town, but the minute he became a Buccaneer, people just shrugged their shoulders cynically and said, well, yep, there goes another guy rooting for laundry. Would you welcome him back? Do you think he'll be successful in another town? Joe Montana weighed in the weeks running up to the Brady sweepstakes and tried to, I believe, warn Tom. without a real judgmental act, he just kind of put it out there that Tom, when he left San Francisco to go to the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, now the Super Bowl champion, not then, I believe his intention was to portray it as a mistake. I believe Brady made a mistake. The amount of endorsement money he could have made in Boston as sort of a lifelong Boston guy will be forever tarnished. I believe he essentially, while he was polite and he did the right thing, everybody goes on Instagram now or Twitter or has a full-page ad in their city newspaper. Everybody does that. And makes the people who spent a fortune on him, who enabled his entire existence, to somehow feel better that he values them. Well, this more than any other act in professional sports should indicate that this is nothing but a business. These are actors on a stage. They're great ones. It's a lot of fun. If you've ever had a chance to go to an NFL game, it truly is an epic experience. But at the same time, since his departure timed quite neatly with the beginning of this crisis, did it perhaps for people put into perspective exactly where their values lie? You tell me at area code 401-205-3738. I'm going to take a second to promote the show. Right now, I am manning the gates, if you will, alone. Super producer Joel is just an IP address away. But in the meantime, I'm going to put it out there because I don't even know if anyone even knows we're on the line. And spare me the bear jokes. We've found our signals to be excellent. And then when we've had guests come in over the last day or two, some of them have come off flawlessly. A couple we've had some real issues with in terms of connectivity. I think a lot of folks are beefing up their home offices. For most folks, their home office was a place to read the Wall Street Journal on a Sunday morning, maybe make a private phone call away from the fam, enter some emails. Now that home office has gone from being a sort of a business-orientated man cave, if I love to use that word. I love to use orientated and nuclear, to a place where commerce must transpire. And in doing so, in a never-ending series of economic give and takes, will the investor class, the elite, and even the not-so-elite, the middle class, will they be forced to or have to voluntarily invest a significant amount of money into their home office? Is there anybody out there who's, used some tricks in terms of, download capability, software capability, connectivity with the real world, who's using Zoom or using other applications? You can let us know at 401-205-3738. I'm going to vamp for a minute or two while I sort of try and spread the word. So, a gentleman named David Hansen is saying, should I call? Absolutely. See if I can spell right on the interface. Again, the point of this is to work out the kinks. We're going to experiment, if you will, for what the capabilities are of the system. We had people on the line as guests to our show the other day, and we're able to broadcast their yoga videos on top of that. So is Dave from Baltimore going to call in? We'll see. Monitoring the line. This is user-sponsored, listener-sponsored, sponsor-sponsored media. We won't be overtly doing commercials. We're fortunate of a handful of local businesses, despite challenging times. And we've got
Hello?
we've got Dave from Severna Park calling in. Dave from Severna Park, what say you?
Hey, I came across your show, and looks very interesting.
Are we talking Ravens talk today? What happened there?
Oh, we can.
What happened?
Well, the expectations were a little too high. We're used to being the underdog coming in, you know.
You guys were kicking butt, and then you hit the stone wall. Holy cow!
It happens, you know.
All right. Super.
We'll see see what happens next year. You know.
What are you guys looking at?
I was waiting.
What are you guys looking at for draft choices? Who are they thinking of picking up?
Oh gosh, I think they're looking for wide receivers that'll block and keep the defense strong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what we're used to, running off of a strong defense, and we're really spoiled now that we've got a quarterback that runs. MVP.
Well, you know, it's where do you rank the top quarterbacks, Dave, from Severna Park? Is he number one?
Oh, Johnny United's number one. You know.
Well, I'm talking the current crop. I mean, you know, it wasn't. We all know that Phil Simms really is the GOAT.
Yeah.
Who was that other kid that was playing for a while? Didn't he have a brother that played? But no, out of the current crop of quarterbacks, the new generation. Not we'll forget about Brady. He's an afterthought now. He doesn't matter. He's just playing on borrowed time. He's out of gas. I'm trying to think of other cliches that come along. I know, but this kid from Kansas City versus this kid from Baltimore. Where's the verdict on that? How about that kid from Dallas? Awful lot of good young quarterbacks out there.
There are, and you know what it comes down to is the system that you end up in as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to take advantage of the skill set that each of these players have. So, and it's not just the player. You know, you need the players around you to be able to execute. So,
I can't believe we're doing sports talk radio right now.
Yeah, I know. I got my little.
I was going to say there's deep-seated irony out here somewhere, lurking.
Well, when I'm listening here, you know, you talk about your home office and stuff like that. I'm a software developer, so I'm in a very lucky situation where I like to go to work. So they mandated that we all work from home, and we've had to get used to installing a VPN and connecting to the work computer from home. And I brought all my equipment home, so I'm set up in a situation that it's almost like I'm sitting at work.
Well, as you look, I was going to say, as you look at our studio, it probably would be hard to imagine that in college I was something of a technophobe. I mean, it would be hard for you to imagine that, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
I mean,
yes.
What do you think of the sound and the tech so far? I mean, you can be honest. You can be brutally frank. I've understood that you're like that before.
So I don't have a whole bunch of technical stuff here. We came up on Microsoft Teams so that we could all have virtual meetings and stuff like that. So I had to learn that. I wasn't. We're used to Skype. So, and I've come to really like Teams a lot. And I didn't really have a video or the sound going. So I don't have the nice headset that you've got and microphone. But
well, it just as important. It's actually more important than the microphone. If you want to be a real radio guy, is the little cantilever thingy that we've got it hooked up to. That makes you look really cool. That means you're a real radio dude. That and the ability to talk endlessly. Go ahead.
Well, you were talking. I was poking you there on the text messaging, so I wanted to see what was going on. Well, I can't tell if you're live or not. That's it. I mean, the screen says live, and I'm assuming that it was. So I wasn't.
No, we are.
I wasn't sure before.
We are very live. We are live everywhere and anywhere. The beauty of this
Well,
format.
typically you're a Friday night show, aren't you?
Well, that's it. We've gone from being a Coalition Radio show from Friday nights from 6 to 9 at facebook.com/the Coalition Radio, on the mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio, and of course the mothership at coalitionradio.us. We are not just an individual show anymore. We are a damn network, which means
Really?
the same guy is going to talk 7 by 24. There was an episode of The Odd Couple years ago where the two protagonists went on vacation to a hotel, and the same guy was the cook, the same guy was the maitre d', the same guy was the clerk who checked people in. There is a slight element of that. There are a couple of us, and we're going to be bringing on additional content, independently produced content, to fill in the slots. But the long-term goal, of course, is to try and go as close to 7 by 24 as possible. We'll see how that goes, but I believe there to be a screaming need for content-driven media. I mean, most of the stuff that's on TV, or, particularly I should say most of the stuff that's on radio is canned crap. I mean, there's just not that Springsteen song about how many channels and there's nothing on still remains relevant in the year 2020. It's well, and all this having to be home now. Dave from Severna Park, are you married?
Yes, I am.
Now, is she at home with you? Is your bride at home with you?
Yeah, she's watching all the financials. We're close to retirement, and we coasted right out of that. The greatest economy ever has failed me.
In about 2 weeks, my 401k. In about 2 weeks, we've seen it all just go to wow.
To the crapper. I rode that pony down, man. I didn't get out.
Well, hey, because any day now was going to get better. Listen, I don't know what's the major supermarket chain in the greater Severna Park metropolitan area.
Well, you could do Giant Food. We do the Costco or the BJ's.
There you go.
Safeway.
So what we're saying is, in about 3 or 4 years, I'll be wearing my Stop and Shop outfit, and you'll be wearing your Giant Food outfit, and we'll be that guy bagging at the
there
end,
you go.
Bagging at the end of the conveyor belt. Is that what you're saying?
Let me at least cut the vegetables or something.
I'm thinking you did that in college pretty well. Anyway, how about those Red Sox? So
let's cut that off.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you do what you got to do, and watch the announcements with our grand president, and just laugh.
Well, now, okay, so
it's crazy.
On a serious note, what is Maryland doing? Because it says here you're from Maryland. Is that true? Do you live in Maryland?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Maryland.
I'm
Balmer.
I'm quick.
A little south of Balmer.
All right. So
we got our crabs.
We do. What
crabs? Crabs are good down here.
Blue crabs. So
yeah.
What is the official state response? Are you supposed to be, as we say, sheltering in place, hunkering down? Are you allowed to go out? What's the word here?
We're allowed to go out, but for the most part, the governor just locked us down. You go out for essential things, food, prescription, but don't be stupid. Don't go out and just congregate. We had one guy get arrested. He decided to have a beer party of 40 people, and he refused to break it up, and they had to arrest him. And it's like people are just being careless. So, let's have a little common sense.
Now, my keen sense of direction says that you're well, if you will, inland from border states. So you're not it's a bit of a ride. I've made that ride a couple of times from the Delaware border down to Baltimore. Yeah, I made that ride. Mm-hmm. You're a fair bit away, and I would imagine traffic to D.C. is actually probably the lightest ever been. But you're from what I remember when I made rides like that, because I know some people in the area. It was a little bit of a ride to D.C. and the Virginia border to you. But is local law enforcement stopping out-of-state traffic? Are they telling them they have to quarantine?
I haven't seen that. Like when I go out to get groceries or something, the traffic is extremely light. There's no reason to be out. You know, businesses are closed. It's not like you're going to the trampoline park. That's not open. You know, there's no reason to be out unless you're running out of the toilet paper that everyone hoarded in the beginning. You know. It is very, very clear. I saw an emergency vehicle with the fire truck at the beginning of our community, and they were getting ready to go into an apartment building, and they suited all up, you know, with the protective gear and stuff. I don't know if that's just a standard procedure now, or if that was something where, you know, someone with COVID symptoms called in and said, "Come get me." So,
right. Well, isn't that part of the issue,
scary.
though? Yeah, no, but isn't that part of the issue? You know, for all the conversations and all the press conferences, that's there's information people really need to know, and I think that's a little bit of my frustration because they'll read down the toll of people in the hospital and the toll of people, and after a while, it just becomes numbers, and that which is, you know, tragic in and of itself. Mm-hmm. But, you know, where are the infections, what level they are? I mean, if you're going to get up there and you're going to just lecture us, then give us something we can use. I mean, that's really what we're asking for.
It's all about it just being open mic, and let's argue about the snarky reporters and stuff like that. He just wants to get a message out that he's doing something, and I don't know. It seems to me that the governors are the ones that are really the heroes here, where, you know, we've got, 3 different kinds of tests going out that you can't even get tested with. It's crazy.
Right. I think the governors, by and large, are the heroes. I mean, the federal government has totally screwed the pooch on this.
I know. I'm very appreciative with the way Governor Hogan has handled this. We have a daughter down in Florida that it scares us. She works for the Department of Defense, and they want her to come into work. And people are coming into work, you know, with coughs, with other symptoms of, you know, other sick, just things that you wouldn't go to work with. And she's got to work in close range of that on top of this whole pandemic. So it doesn't seem like the governor down there has taken it seriously. He may have changed recently, but
his approach almost seems to be Trump-esque. There's a cruise ship hanging out off the coast of Florida right now, and they would like to dock. Now, I obviously, that creates tremendous problems. I mean, I get that. But at the same token, his reference seems to be, and he's used these terms, that we need to support Floridians. Well, there are Americans aboard that ship, and I think what's blown my mind a little bit, and maybe I'm obsessing, but the states are now pitting themselves against other states, and I thought we were Americans. I mean, if you come to my border, I mean, besides the fact there's a constitutional prohibition against prohibiting interstate traffic, you know, the concept was that we were 50 states united, that you wouldn't have this sort of behavior, you know.
Well, and why shouldn't you be able to, as a New Yorker, let's say, if you have hold on, I got someone else calling me. If you have a second home down in Florida, why shouldn't you be able to go down there and you know, get away from the hot spot, as it were?
Well, and that's what's happened in coastal communities. I mean, you've got, here in Rhode Island where we broadcast from. I I'm not sure if you're aware of that. We're based here in Rhode Island. You've got Block Island, which is a beautiful spot, and it's become sort of a spot for New Yorkers. We get that, and the island, the coastal money all along the coast, from literally the Key West up to the top of Maine, has become very expensive. But it's the same notion. These are people who are property owners. They pay probably pretty dearly, as far as as far as investing in communities with property taxes for which they don't send their children to school. They don't use the roads most of the year. In some cases, only a couple of weeks a year. They may use them as investment properties or rental properties during the summer months, but these are folks who are landowners. They are part of the community. To all of a sudden dismiss them, I think is A, it's unconstitutional. B, it's frightening that we've got elected leaders who think that way. And C, I think it's just disgusting because these people have property rights. So,
there's the idea.
Oh, go ahead, buddy.
The idea that there's privilege. If you've got money, you've got privilege, and you can see with the testing of the athletes and stuff like that. The abuse of privilege or whatnot. But you're right.
Right. I mean, in cities, again, and here's the confusion. We're getting so many different reports. On one level, where they're talking about empty hospitals where elective surgery take place, and yet at the same time, there are hospitals allegedly in major cities around the country that are literally under siege. We don't see any video or pictures of that, and we've become a visual society. So you've got folks questioning that now at a time when we just all have to get bored on whatever the facts are, as bleak as they might be, or as cautionary as they might be. We have to all get on board with the same set of facts. So folks who are going to try and twist the system for their own political gains aren't given that opportunity. What exactly is happening? What is a legitimate death rate? What is it anticipated to be based on reasonable minds? What is the exact situation with regards to testing availability, not someone's political pipe dream? What is the exact, we've all got to know the buzzwords, PPE. What is the PPE situation? Did we really just give tens of millions of dollars worth of this equipment to China just last month as they entered their crisis?
Oh, ton. Yeah, they say 5 tons of equipment went over. Yeah. Of course, the stockpile's empty, right?
Right. So and we need a president who isn't going to talk about his ratings. This is one of those situations where you lead, you do the best you can. If Americans sense that that's what they're doing, we get behind them, and then we sort it out at the end. Then we have all the panels and late night talk shows talking about we've lived under this illusion for the first month of this crisis, and I believe it's cost the nation dearly, regardless if you're a Republican, Democrat, or Independent. So these
are human lives being lost.
Right. It's just terrible. It's what passes for leadership now. My father's 97, and he questions. He's a remarkable, uncynical person, if you will, but he questions whether or not Americans have the same type of resolve and can perform the same type of gut check that they did in World War II. And I think he's right. I don't know if we have that intestinal fortitude. I really don't.
Yeah.
So, but I certainly thank you for joining us, and we should talk more often. I'm sure we have a lot in common.
Well, I've been thinking about you, and it was nice to see you on the video there. I hope you're safe and your family's safe.
I'm in the bunker at an undisclosed location. In the room with me are Dick Cheney and the spirit of Spiro Agnew. I am, in terms of job titles,
Maryland man.
I am the chief narcissist here at the coalition, and there's no better narcissist in the world than me. All right, I just want you to make that clear. All right.
Okay.
And we will carry on a one-man network of information, hell bent to promote liberty.
Great luck with that, and it would yes. I'm seeing you at all hours now, so that'll be good.
Well, and I want you to be one of these callers who calls in every day. In fact, we're going to call you Dave from Severna Park now. Okay?
Oh, no. Okay.
All right. I need to understand. This is your assignment. I need to understand what's going to happen with the O's this year. How the Colts doing? They still play. Oh, I'm sorry.
So just a quick side story. So I just turned 60. Okay.
Yikes!
And the kids wanted to take me down.
You're old.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. Yes, I am. And there's no retirement now. But right the day before my birthday, we were going to fly down to Sarasota for spring break and see my beloved O's. And so we had to cancel that trip because we have a dog now and no one can watch our dog. So we canceled the trip, and what do you know? It turns out that on that Thursday that we would have been flying down, spring training was canceled.
Oh.
So it, the world works in strange ways.
Well, I remember I went to school once with a guy who got married, and as it turns out, he was going on his honeymoon. Can you now imagine this? The first day of the air traffic controller strike.
Mm-hmm.
So they lined up, they put everybody up, and it was sort of a call your name in lottery. Now, it was he and his bride waiting for the trip, and he got called first. Now, based on your life experience, would he have A, said, no, honey, you get on the plane first? B, said, no, honey, we'll go together or we won't go at all? Or C, would he jump on the flight and say, okay, guys, I'll see you there, I hope? What would you have done?
Well, you see, they hadn't struck yet, and we got to Bermuda, and it was more a situation that we were going to get stuck in Bermuda.
Okay.
So that wasn't such a bad possible outcome. Off in the beaches of paradise, yeah.
All right, Dave from Severna Park.
Good old days, yeah.
So, hey, can you take a moment, though? If you can like our show on Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio. Are you on the Mighty Mighty Twitter?
Okay. No, I'm not. That's one thing I refuse to do.
Okay.
I have liked you, and on the Facebook, I've liked you, and I get notified Coalition is going live. So that's how I saw that you were causing all the trouble that you are, and decided to call in.
There you go. Now, are you on the YouTube as well? Do you have?
Yes, I do a lot of YouTube. Hey, you need to do your breaks or something? YouTube's the answer.
Yeah. Well, if you could follow us or subscribe to us on the YouTube, because to get any Skadol on YouTube, you got to have 1,000 followers, and that means I've got. If you sign up, I'll have 894 to go. So
I can give you a click on YouTube. I most certainly can.
We need help on the YouTube, and we're not about mercy likes or mercy shares either. So.
Yes, we're used to mercy.
I'll go with it,
Okay.
All right, bud.
We got to get you out on the Zoom and stuff too. Then.
Well, it's funny. We're go ahead.
I'm learning all these new software programs now that we're stuck at home.
Yeah. No, we are actually on the Zoom. We have the Zoom 100 user account. So we could do Zoom. We might do Zoom, but the account here, we could take thousands, and a guy can dream, right?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
A guy can dream. That's just, I'll leave it at that. So,
all right.
But follow us, subscribe to us on the YouTube. We'd be grateful. And please don't be a stranger. feel free to call in anytime and add to the conversation. And if you have pictures, by the way, we're going to ask these folks who have pictures of either Border Patrols or checkpoints or National Guard type folks out there, just send them to us. Message us at the Coalition Radio at facebook.com/the Coalition Radio, or tweet them to us at the mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio. And we're going to put them up there. And so people get a chance to see, unedited by the mainstream media, unedited by that, uncontrolled, that folks get to see what a flavor of what's going on. You know, whether it be empty streets in the streets of Baltimore. I'm actually a personal expert on Baltimore. I have watched the entirety of the show The Wire, and I've seen every single episode of Homicide: Life on the Street. So I'm quite the expert on Baltimore.
I have not seen that show. So.
I highly recommend it. All right.
I'll bet you do. Okay.
All right.
Baltimore's a wonderful town.
I've heard that. President Trump just talked about it a few months ago. But Dave from...
and then he came to visit.
But, hey, Dave from Severna Park, thank you for joining us on the Coalition. We look forward to continued contact for you here. All right. And send us pictures.
I will. I'll let you know.
All right.
Pull your ear now.
All right. So pull your ear. I can't. I'm wearing these really spiffy, professional-looking microphones. They actually don't do anything, but it makes me look like I'm a real radio guy. So there you go. That's all it takes.
All right. Get a good caller next time, right?
Right. Dave from Severna Park. We're breaking our
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We'll see you soon. Go O's. Go Colts. Listen, folks, on this show, we are family. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, now you've gone down the wrong hole. Right.
Goodbye. Oh, that was Dave from Severna Park. You realize there might have been a personal connection there. I'm just going to leave that out there. But hey, we're not above mercy calls. We're not above mercy calls. If you'd want to call in, the phone number here is area code 401-205-3738. We've got open lines for you. We are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn free, civilly disobedient media, broadcasting live at the Worldwide Coalition Radio Network at www.coalitionradionetwork.com. We're going through kind of our soft opening, if you will, this week, experimenting with schedules, times, technology calls, and, of course, the legal and traveler's climate, the actual ability to gain access to our studios, which are deep in the bunkers of La Prave, the Naked City, the city of about 300,000 stories. If you want to call in, we'll talk about it, just about anything. We'd like to get a feel for what's happening in your community with regard to law enforcement, ease access, food, toilet paper, and your thoughts on being walled in, your thoughts on the crisis at all. Here at the Coalition, I guess the semi-official take on it is that we do believe that this is an international crisis. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist. I am at times, though, however, a conspiracy realist, and I'm willing to listen to your well-articulated thought on how this happened and your interpretation of what the governmental response has been since then. And just... do you fear for our long-term loss of civil liberties? Are you afraid of this disease, this pestilence? You can be honest here. We're going to respect every caller. There is no dump button per se here. We're going to try and operate within the bounds of reasonableness. If we've got multiple people in the line, we want to get them on. But at the same time, we're not going to cut you off, and we're certainly not going to talk down to you. We don't have that right. No one does. And even if we completely disagree, independent opinions, personal opinions are highly respected here at the Coalition. And I know that's not the case everywhere. If, in fact, you've had an experience with talk radio, give us a shot and let us know what that's been about. So we're up for callers right now. Because even though I'm testing the technology, I get to talk endlessly in the hopes that one of you will join us. Oh, boy. And actually, while we're doing that, I'm going to simultaneously try to promote the fact that we're actually online. went online for the first time last night, and it's worked out very well. We hope to soon integrate guests with an online experience. One of my big things, if you will, is that I'm not a fan of guests being on. I'm just not. Without the benefit of access to the listeners. I know that there are a number of talk radio shows where, particularly in the morning drive time, congressmen, senators, civic leaders, elected officials will call in, safe and comfort in the notion that no one will actually press them for any details. I'm not a big fan of that. I'll tell you what, I'm also not a big fan of the way the governor is conducting here in Rhode Island her press events. They're daily, and you get to send the card in, you get to send an email in with your question, and if you're real lucky, she'll pick it, and you won't have any sort of follow-through or follow-up questions. Now, I understand that there is a need for safety, but there are certainly enough buildings, governmental buildings in the state with rooms big enough that you could get representatives of the major media in a room with segregated microphones, if you will, at a 6-foot or 8-foot or even a 10-foot distance. Hell, the convention center is open most days. Why don't we set something up there where she actually has to take questions with follow-up questions, either from that media individual or people also involved in the presser. That needs to happen. I'm astonished that the media types in Rhode Island are allowing this current format to take place. I'm just astonished. I'm amazed that they would settle. I'm amazed that they would settle for that. I'm typing at the same time, so bear with me. So let me just check. Someone else has just logged onto the page. If you have a moment, give us a call at 401-205-3738. Lines are open. So we're going to put that out there. Also interested in talking about what your experience with tech has been this week. If you got kiddos at home and you're Zooming, how's the Zooming working out? Have you had bandwidth issues? We've had a couple of guests who have. It's unfortunate because it breaks up the ebb and the flow of the interview. But at the same time, we recognize that if you're watching our show right now, there's probably 200 or 300 kids in your neighborhood who are also simultaneously trying to interface with their teacher. (401-205-3738). Thanks to Dave from Severna Park to call us in our sort of opening session. I'd say overall we're looking for messages of positivity. We're not looking to be Pollyannish. We're not in denial here. But we are looking for messages of positivity. So, at the top of the hour now, I believe, if you're just joining us, we are the Coalition, loud and proud. I'm sorry, it's about 21 of. Loud and proud, outrage porn-free, civilly disobedient media. We broadcast at www.coalitionradionetwork.com. We also broadcast on Facebook Live and Periscope and YouTube. We're trying to, if you will, encourage viewers to watch and listen at coalitionradionetwork.com because we, like many of you, worry about getting zucked, worried about the future of any one of these platforms if they're going to support independent media. We just don't know. Yeah, we just wonder if, in fact, that folks will continue to have the high level of access to social media that they traditionally had. Will, in fact, this event, this terrible, terrible event, be precipitative not only of fundamental changes in how we approach healthcare, how we approach, literally, how we relate to each other as individuals, but will it provoke changes in our civil liberties? And as much as we may object to them, are we in a position where we will challenge them? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, but I'm certainly interested in yours. So if you want, take a minute. Call in. 401-205-3738. And let's talk about it. There are really no issues that are out of bounds here at the Coalition. On our regular programming, we do extensive work covering third rail issues like sex worker rights and the advocacy for the decriminalization of sex worker movement. And we'll be having dedicated shows relative to that. We spend ample time not just on the Second Amendment, which is critical to us, not just the First Amendment, but the now suddenly popular Fourth Amendment. Folks have woken up in the last few weeks to the notion that their Fourth Amendment rights are for sale. And to that, of course, I say balderdash. So, if that's something you'd like to talk about, just let us know. Just call in. We're looking to, if you will, gauge support of this environment. Again, this is soft opening week. We haven't even publicized the fact that we exist. But if, in fact, you believe that it's critical that libertarians be able to have this type of conversation with people from around the country and around the globe, then give us a shout. And, of course, follow us on any one of a number of social media platforms. Area code 401-205-3738. This is a chance for you to, if you will, deliver your argument to what we ultimately hope will be libertarians and independent political grassroots types from around the planet. And it costs you nothing, just your opinion, your voice, your time. A couple of people are liking our posts. Have you had family members affected by this? Are you been let go from your work? Do you feel it's a temporary layoff, or do you feel it's permanent in nature? Give us a call at 401-205-3738. Has your business been affected by this? Are you in a retail business? Are you running for office? One of the great issues that we're going to face as a movement, and this is going to be across all political organizations, is actually how we get petitioning done. Dan Fishman, the executive director of the Libertarian Party, has been working on that tirelessly. We're just getting a message from someone. See if we can encourage a couple people to make that jump. Here in Rhode Island, where we're based, talk radio culture is very, very strong. It's really part of our political fabric. It's literally part of everything we do. Candidates are expected to call in. Candidates are expected to engage with listeners. Candidates are expected to get cross-examined. It's just as much of the ritual here as it is the door-to-door knockfest that you get to go on. The grassroots political movements are blessed with a very strong presence in terms of decriminalization for sex work. That's an issue that we're going to pursue aggressively. Folks, if you're watching for the first time, we are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage-born free, civilly disobedient media, broadcasting here on the Worldwide Coalition Media Network. No guest today. This is kind of a soft opening for what we hope will also be an active talk radio force, a channel, if you will, to reach out to people. Different from a podcast, different from a guest long-form interview format, different from all that. We could be focusing on an issue, or it could be an open mic like it is today. Very often it'll be your choice. A place where the free exchange of ideas can take place. We've got a brand new facility here, something that we built from scratch. Interestingly enough, the initial focus was going to be an in-studio experience where we would have a set and we'd have conventional digital television shows. We decided, however, in a move that could be called prescient, to focus on really the ability to have folks dial in remotely. And at that point in time, literally as we were scrambling to get the equipment in, Corona hit. And now what we're finding is that our initial strength is our ability to have folks on for an hour, have a conversation. And that saved us, literally. With the no travel order that is in place here in the greater Providence-Boston stretch, unless one is going to food shopping or limited employment opportunities, one is literally prohibited from travel. And given the presence of a state border in close proximity to our facility, because if in Rhode Island you're only about 20 or 30 miles at most from a state border anyplace, then we would have been out of luck. Interesting. People are having different reactions. They're messaging me privately. What is this? This is a talk radio show, except there's a visual element to it. And people seem to be baffled, if you will, which is a good thing because this is not meant to be like all the other efforts. There's an element here that's just different. It's just been announced, and Governor Cuomo has ordered the closing of playgrounds. If you're just joining us, we are the Coalition Talk Radio. One of the interesting aspects of this is that we've got a handful of listeners, a handful of people watching on different formats. So give us a call, 401-205-3738. We'd like to find out what's going on in your neck of the woods. We'd like to understand how the police, how municipal authorities are reacting to the crisis where you are. If you're in the West Coast or in the Midwest, has your community really been impacted by this? Both on a level of health care, if you will. Are they reacting to it in forms of restricted civil liberties, restricted presence? We've got a caller. And hi, and welcome to the Coalition Talk Radio. And who's this?
This is Anna Mosashvili.
And what part of the country are you calling from?
I am calling from San Diego, California.
Excellent. You are one of the first callers ever in the history of the talk radio show known as the Coalition Talk Radio. The effort here is to provide a national dial-in radio show where folks in all aspects of life, not just the liberty movement, but in particular the liberty movement, folks can call in during a time of crisis like this, during election season, during, any one of a number of things that can be happening either on a local stage or a national stage, and just have an opportunity to share and reflect and have a conversation with people everywhere. So this show is really, we've been on the air now for on and off for about a day, testing the technology. How do we sound in San Diego?
Actually excellent.
And how do we look in San Diego? Is this truly a face made for radio or what? We wave. So I'll put aside the artifice here. I know Anna very well. She is a fellow warrior, if you will, in the liberty movement. In addition to being a very high level graphic artist and graphic arts professional, she does a lot of volunteer work on behalf of people's individual liberties, both in California and at the national libertarian level. So what do you think of the idea here, the notion that there could be a talk radio station for liberty? You think it's got legs?
I love it. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I've been kind of in the bunker. If you haven't seen me talking much lately, we've been working on this obsessively to get this up and running before really all travel became restricted. We when I tell you we just made it, we literally just made it in terms of getting the right equipment in and getting the bandwidth set up. Initially we were gonna focus on on a set at the show here in the bunker where people could come and have sort of a orderly talk show appearance. And something told us, let's get the remote access going first so that we could reach out to people. That turned out to be the best move imaginable. Now you're in San Diego, Anna. What's going on there? We're a little familiar with LA, but how are municipal authorities reacting to this, and how bad is it?
It's not that bad. I see a lot of people wearing masks, but the city hasn't changed much. Some things are closed, like the DMV and the INS, everybody's favorite organization. But even they are trying to be productive. Like they're trying to put on the internet what you can do. In terms of if your driver's license is expiring, we can do it somehow by the internet. Like even they are trying. And local restaurants have all been open, but for carry out or delivery instead of dine in, which is of course a difference, but it's something we can live with. There's no enforced restriction on people moving around. There's a suggestion that, you guys should stay put for a little while, but there's no police on the streets telling people, you got to go home. Mm-hmm. So I would say the city is handling it as well as it could be imaginably handled. That's my impression so far. Now, of course, we don't know if this is going to change, but so far it has been handling it well. I can also report on how Moscow, Russia, has been handling it. As you know, my family lives there. Mm-hmm. And I think that they've been handling it well as well, but on the medical side of it, because they have tests available for anyone. Anyone who feels that they might need a test, somebody comes to your house, a medical professional, you don't have to go to a hospital. Somebody comes to your house and you get your test. So I think that gives people a little bit more calm than being afraid that that you're going to get sick and you're going to have nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in that aspect, that city has been handling it well too. Now again, I hear horror stories about other cities, and I feel for people. I really do, and I don't know what to say. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't allowed to leave the house unless I would be arrested.
Mm-hmm. Now, in California, San Francisco was the first city in the nation to declare a state of emergency. Is that a reflection, really, sort of the chaos that exists in places like LA and San Francisco with housing costs, with the homeless situation being a public health crisis at a moment like this? Is it just the scale and scope of San Francisco and Los Angeles that have put them in a different category in California?
I think so, and also just worldwide, big cities are the ones that are declaring states of emergency, and well, you saw what's happening in NYC,
mm-hmm.
right, on the news. So I think it's not even a U.S. phenomenon. I think it's just a worldwide phenomenon that very, very populated cities are going to be impacted by something like this on a larger scale.
Mm-hmm.
So authorities they don't know what to do, so they're trying.
Yeah, no, this is
what they do best.
This is uncharted territory, to be sure. The Libertarian Party. Obviously, this presents a challenge in terms of how, as an independent party, we can get traction, how we can get our candidates out there. It seems that the ability to mass communicate has never been more important for a grassroots organization. And as someone who's been intimately involved in, if you will, branding different parts of the party, how important as a graphic arts professional is it to you to make sure that the branding efforts of the party are really at a high level? We've got candidates who've just thrown, just because I think a lack of training really have put stuff up on social media. Do you have any tips for them in terms of, really maximizing their social media effort? Because right now, in a sort of perverse way, there's tremendous tragedy out there, and there's been a terrible loss of life. So you look for little grassroots and little things that can be maybe put a smile on your face, maybe. And I want to be careful how I ask questions like this because I recognize that. So when I use the word opportunity, I want to be very careful here because in this is in spite of, again, tremendous tragedy. But right now there are people who are paying attention to these issues of civil liberty, of free markets, like never before, because they're having a distinct, direct impact on people's lives. The government has not done a good job here. So what suggestions do you have in terms of presentation, arts, logos, things like that to independent grassroots candidates like libertarians in times like this? How can they, because they've got a chance. People are going to pay attention to a lot of different things right now. What are your tips?
Right. Okay. So, to tell a little bit, my friend Spike Cohen's horn, humor. But humor that's not offensive and at the same time delivers our message. I think that's the best way we can do is humor.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be super creative, but it can't be too plain either. I know this is easier said than done, right?
Right.
And I also want to talk about things that I would like to see some people in the Libertarian Party not do, which is talk about how this is all a hoax.
Mm-hmm.
Misinformation is terrible. That's not a good look.
Right.
Let me think. What else? I think that putting out, I don't know how we can put out any print right now because I'm not sure how production end of things is going in different factories and things like that. But we can do it through social media, and we can do it like we're doing right now through this radio show.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm on board with
Twitter.
you 100% in terms of let's lay off the conspiracy. It's a hoax. Picture the empty hospitals.
Right.
Let's leave that for other people to speculate. Let's not use up our bandwidth and the time we have with individual folks by harping on that aspect. I don't think it's a good,
right.
I don't think it's a good look, and I don't really. I'd rather shouldn't we rather be talking about how the libertarian philosophy can help mitigate problems like these and actually help? I would think that would be people's focus, don't you?
I think that there should be a limit to that, because the first time somebody hears about the Libertarian Party, you don't want to go on a 2-hour lecture about the NAT and Rothbard and all that, because that's a good way to get somebody bored.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, definitely educate people about our philosophy, but tread lightly.
Right, the Larry Sharp approach.
Yeah.
Plant the kernel.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking more. Yeah. I'm thinking more of the practical aspects. How that less bureaucracy, less government means innovative products come to the market more quickly. I mean, to me, right now we need innovation and we need it fast. You know, and
right.
and speak to that aspect of it as opposed to the government's doing this to us, the government's screwing us this way, the government's. I mean, they're let's be positive as a movement.
Right. And give good examples. I can give you one right now. I have a dear friend here who owns a restaurant. So when this all started happening, he switched into, he now calls it a bazaar. So instead of, the restaurant. So people can call in, say how many tagines they want, and the next day they can come pick them up, or he will hand deliver them himself to your door. So he's adapting. He said he's been very busy. His business actually hasn't changed money-wise because he adapted. And I think that's really important.
Wow.
Adapt quickly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we as a small business person, none of us have the time to lament what could have been or what should have been. You just got to jump in and get down to business.
Right. We got to look at what is and work with that.
Right. There's a yoga studio that we featured on the bandwaves here this weekend, and that what they did very quickly was they did their own filming and created essentially their own loops where folks could do their yoga with one of the instructors via video that they were used to, and they put them up there and they monetized it. So if you weren't a member of the organization already, if you weren't a member of their club, you could do a sort of a pay-per-view. Simultaneously, in order to reward the loyalty of the folks who had remained members, despite the fact that their studio had to close. There's people sweating and body fluids and things like that. It's those days are over for a little bit. They made it free so that people, they gave them value in exchange for the membership. They weren't just simply asking, hey, can you not ask for a refund? We're going to give you a value add, and we're going to give you a reason to stay with us. And it's gone over very, very well. People love it. And the filming is beautifully done. Of course, that helps. But it's allowed people for whom yoga was a daily part of their lives to stay constant with it. And at times like these, it's the ability to maintain some sort of normalcy, some sort of, for lack of a better term, some consistency in their lives. So this organization, which is actually called the Ritual Sweat Society, which they can be found at ritualsweatsociety.com, you go to their Providence location, they're hanging in there. They've got something to lose. It helps complete them because they're able to, keep developing their business in a way that was unanticipated just a few weeks ago, and their customers are sticking with them. So I don't think we have to go into this collective nervous breakdown, do we? I mean, let's keep,
no, we don't.
How, if you don't mind me asking, how is it impacted your business? I know that you've got a very active business.
Yeah, well, I can't do anything right now, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Is it?
That's okay.
Is it just the fact that some of your customers are closed, or are people out there working from home?
Yes. Yes, some are, and I'm also looking into ways of what I can do now. I haven't finalized it yet, so I'm not going to talk about it yet. But yeah, some people will have to change what they do, and that's
mm-hmm.
It's not as bad as dying, right?
No, it's so you got to keep us appraised of that, because if there's stuff that you're working on that you're looking for support from customers from, that's why we created this interface, this forum. Folks can call in and if they've got a business that they have in place that they've had to modify. If there's new aspects that they're trying out, we want to know, and we'll do everything. We'll share your sites. We'll share your work.
That's wonderful.
It's meant to be an environment where people can share, and look for moral, financial, mental support from all of us. And one of the biggest aspects of this effort, Anna, is for example, we're going to start to have candidates on now again, and we're going to look to people in different parts of the country to understand that we're all one big family. That unlike, say, our governors, who seem to want to differentiate between Americans and Floridians and Rhode Islanders, that in fact, if you believe in liberty and body autonomy and self-ownership, regardless at what level, regardless of where you are in your own journey, you're welcome here to have a conversation and to find empathy and sympathy and whatever it takes for you to move forward. And that's the big point, to create more cohesion nationally than what we've got right now. I think a little bit of too many of us are kind of focused on, their little region, their little private Idaho, as we used to say back in the 80s. So, that's the value here. So, and if folks have ideas that they want to look for collaboration on, just reach out. We'll share. There's a tremendous amount of people out there that if there, again, and I'm very careful when I say this, if there's any upside whatsoever to this tragic moment in time, it's the fact that everyone is creative at some level. And there's a window here where you can channel all these crazy energies that are bottled up into finding a new outlet for that energy, for that creativity, for that innovation. And that's what, in our own little way, we hope we can foster here. So
that's wonderful. I absolutely love this idea. And I want to add that something that humans are best at is ingenuity. Mm-hmm. And we're best at it when we're not stuck in our own heads, when we can get input.
We are, by definition, a collaborative society. Great things come together when people talk. It could be at 8 o'clock in the morning with a cup of coffee. It could be a little later at night with something a little bit more adult-oriented, as we say here at the Coalition. Doesn't matter. The saving grace here is that, unlike in, say, the 17th century, where you were literally holed up in your thatch hut, a la the hobbits and the squire, we've got all sorts of ways to communicate with each other, to reach out and touch each other. It isn't perfect. It isn't the same as sitting across at a bar or a coffee house or in someone's living room, but it ain't terrible either. And folks need to take advantage of it.
Yes, it's a great tool that we have at our fingertips. The internet.
So and
yeah.
No, that's great. It's great stuff. Well. Listen. Thank you for coming on and for being one of our test cases here.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Do me a favor, if you will, if you could like our page, if you haven't already, if you could share this show and just let folks know that we're still sorting out the schedule, but whether you're libertarian or not, if you're just simply a good person and you want to reach out and collaborate with other folks from around the country or actually around the world, this is a way to do it in a judgment-free, positive environment, minus the shrill politics that people keep attempting to inject into a tragic situation. Anna, our term here is we are outrage porn free. And what we mean by that is I will not countenance conversations about issues that are ginned up simply to attach themselves or to promote people's negative emotions towards each other. I'm looking for ideas that make people come together, attract people to come together. I'm not looking for issues or conversations that divide people, because there's too much of that out there. So.
Yes. Well, I'm definitely a fan.
And you're also you've always been very kind. So, but if you could share the word and tell people that they can call in for free at what is it, 401? Now I sound like the guy with the host with the most and the DJ from the 50s, where we've got America's top talent here with number one with a bullet. Call in at 401-205-3738 for a limited time and a limited time only. Send a self-addressed stamped envelope to the Coalition Talk Radio in Providence, Rhode Island. Yep, there's a future for me selling used cars. Oh, that's right, I already do that. Holy shit! God bless America. Anna, hey, you're a pal. I'll be online with you guys tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
That was Anna from San Diego. Things are a little more chill in San Diego, it would appear, than they are in L.A. and San Fran. That might be just a different lifestyle, but thanks for sharing your community. I want to hear, Anna, tell your friends, I want to hear from people around the country what they're running into, what their challenges are, what they're facing, how their government is affecting them. If your friends have a take and they just want to vent, they can call too. All right, buddy?
All right. You got it.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
And that was Anna from San Diego, joining the coalition in sort of our maiden voyage with this sort of dynamic online call-in America's Town Hall kind of forum, reflecting on what's going on in San Diego. San Diego sounds like it's a really cool place to be right now. Listen, if you've got friends who've got businesses literally anywhere, and they want to come in and they just want to talk about them, promote them, listen, shameless self-promotion is the order of the day. Feel free to have them call in. This is being recorded, and we will share this with people. Maybe not so much the 20 minutes in between calls where I'm vamping and babbling. I'm going to take about a 20-second break here to get some cold refreshment from one of our show's sponsors, Yacht Club. I just finished off a bottle of Diet Root Beer. I'm just going to put the phone down for a second, and I will be right back. And we are back. We are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage, porn-free, civilly disobedient media, broadcasting live on the Worldwide Coalition Radio Network. We're going to take a little Yacht Club break. I'm trying something called Yacht Up. Haven't had this before. Let's see. We were blessed here in Rhode Island to have something called the Yacht Club Bottling Works at yachtclubsoda.com. America's boutique soda. Before we knew we needed a boutique soda. Take a shot of this. That is good. Holy cow. I think it's kind of like a take on 7-Up. Anyone still drink 7-Up? Well, you don't have to anymore. These guys actually use natural flavors, crystal clear water, none of the crazy preservatives, none of the crazy, we call it refinery soda. No refinery soda here. So Anyhow, if you're out there and you're listening, let's see if anybody is online right now with us. No calls coming in. There's phone lines are open for you at 401-205-3738. We've got one or two people out there. Given the fact that we haven't publicized it, we appreciate you taking the time to listen into this sort of incessant, we call it vamping. That makes me sound like a real radio guy, right? Hardly. But we talk out there, and we hope to get you a chance to call in for two reasons. Number one, I'm really interested in what you have to say, particularly if you're from a different part of the country. I'm really interested in your experiences, what you're going through, what, if any, positives that you've found out there. I'd like to emphasize positivity at some point, as opposed to this incessant, needed, necessary, hopefully accurate, incessant insistence, if you will, on the tragic. But again, 401-205-3738. We spread the word here. Oh, wait a minute. Big news out. Liquor stores in Rhode Island and Massachusetts to close Friday. Okay, wait, folks. Yikes. The government has got to be suffering at this point. You're cutting off that source of revenue. In Rhode Island here, one of the first institutions to go that was a big source of government support was, of course, the casinos. Two casinos owned by the same company, Twin River. In Rhode Island, the state's third largest source of income is casinos, or were casinos. Let's sort of post that here. Area code 401-205-3738. Folks, if you're a local business here in Rhode Island and you want to promote your presence, reach out to us. This is our first real attempt at this type of talk radio structure. But throughout the week, we run successful programming, interview-based, long-form interview-based. We give people an opportunity to talk about their business, their history, their issues. And we're not like the other guys. As things resolve themselves, we're going to offer very affordable opportunities to advertise your business here. Very affordable, a fraction of what it costs to go on to the Projo or to a big media in this town. Advertising should not set you back thousands of dollars. It just shouldn't. We understand the power of promotion of some of these large organizations and their reach, but holy cow, particularly with the Providence Journal, outrageous amounts of money to advertise in a paper that Well, leave that for another day when we're back to our old negative, cynical self post-crisis. But give us a shot at 401-205-3738 if you'd like to reach out and talk to people. Are you interested in doing a show here in Rhode Island? We've got our own facilities now that are available 7x24. Tell us about some of the things that you'd like to talk about. If you're local, what are your thoughts on Gina Raimondo? I guess we've just concluded the announcements of today. And what I'm seeing firsthand is that they're closing the Packies. The liquor stores are going to close on Friday. And of course, by saying that, you're guaranteed this huge rush of business between now and Friday. Anyone want to figure out how long the lines are going to be tomorrow? And how will those people continue to support themselves? We are online, 401-205-3738. If you're just joining us, we are the Coalition Talk Radio. Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio. On the Mighty Mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio. Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio. On the Mighty Mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio. CoalitionRadio.us is the mothership. Interesting. What impact will that have on folks? Reading a Wall Street report analysis earlier today that a number of brands, including Corona, had seen well into double-digit increases in sales. Well into double-digit. Is there the fear that all of a sudden we're going to become, I don't know, just some sort of drunken nation with folks stumbling around stoned and wasted all day? There's days I felt like that myself. Do you have a different take on things than how our government would like to behave? And by closing liquor stores, are you actively taking away the last little bit of fun that we're allowed to have? Is this going to lead to stills in the backyard? Folks in the government should understand that prohibition never works. It never really does. Prohibition leads to, well, black markets. Folks improvising. It happened with the Volstead Act back in the 1920s. It's happened with cannabis now. I suspect if there are eventual cures or mitigating medicines that mitigate the damage being caused by this, that in fact, folks will find a way to deliver that to the marketplace. There is always a market demand to be met for literally every product. Whether it be cold, clear, refreshing yacht club soda, the chronic, the ganj, the weed, cannabis, whether it be gambling. Governments put limitations on products at their own risk. And to do so, only seal in the quote-unquote, for lack of a better term, black market. And then what have you accomplished? You've made products more difficult to obtain. You've driven up the price. A criminal element will get involved in the distribution. Uncertain quality. That's certainly the result of the war on cannabis. Looking across the Facebook, so many people online today. With nothing better to do. At what point do we reach peak binging on the Netflix? I'm a big fan of Amazon Prime and what they've offered in terms of programming over the last few months. When you do this and work on a project like this for 8-10 hours a day, you go home, you're still wired for sound. It's still difficult to wind it down. So again, if you've got a restaurant or a commercial service that you want to provide, you're still in business, despite the odds at some level, which probably means you have some type of online presence, certainly let us know. We'd love to publicize that for you and share it with. And people, the other thing that's interesting about small businesses, people want to learn the backstory. They want to understand what's really made up in this business, what's, how you've taken it to a certain point. I'm frankly looking forward to the resumption of this political season. But because I ultimately think that there's going to be a change in course here in the United States. The very type of approach that government is using right now to the reaction to all the unintended side impacts of the coronavirus are by definition eliminating government interference in the steps leading up to these innovations. The notion that government would actually prohibit production of a life-saving product tells you how far we've come and how far we have to go in really reinventing business, society, all of that. 401-205-3738. If you're out there and you'd like an opportunity to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, as long as it's positive. (401-205-3738). Right now, it may seem like we're just kind of hanging on the line, but as I mentioned, this is sort of a soft opening this week, and we're tweaking some of the technology so we can figure out how to monitor, how to reach people. We are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage-porn free, civilly disobedient media broadcasting live on the Worldwide Coalition Radio Network here in the CoalitionRadioNetwork.com broadcast center. In the bunker here. Dick Cheney, Spiro Agnew, they're all here. Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio. On the mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio. And of course, CoalitionRadio.us, the mothership. (401-205-3738). There are folks out there who've never called a talk radio show. This is a low-key way to do it. A gentle, if you will, first time. Unlike some of the shows, we don't talk over other people. There'll be no disrespect. We can agree to disagree on issues of the day. In about 2 minutes, we're going to take a 10 or 15-minute break and then go right back at it. 401-205-3738. You got something you want to get off your chest? Are you frustrated by the pace of the recovery movement? Are you flummoxed because of the failure of the Center for Disease Control and or the FDA to provide adequate sources of relief? Let us know.